Welcome, New York City and my listeners around the world. This is your host, Elizabeth Tripp. We're live here Wednesday evening, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on YouTube. You can find me at bit.ly/Luminous Life Podcast every Wednesday. And if you miss a live show, you can always check out Luminous Life on any major podcasting platform. I'm on iTunes, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Podbean, you name it, you can find it. And I am just so excited to be here. I love Wednesdays. I always have. And it's been just this magical opportunity for me to come on and share my messages, as well as really bring the universe, the wisdom of the universe, to what I'm offering you, to what I'm bringing my audience, and allow for all of you to really start to explore the real, deeper meaning of life. Luminous Life has been divinely designed to activate you on your journey back to your true, authentic self. And truly what it is it allows for us, whether I have a guest on or it's just me bringing you a show solo, it allows for us to look at our life experiences, to take a closer look at our trepidations, the challenges in which that we face, because together really we know that each and every single one of us has been through something that has brought up or has felt painful or hard or difficult. Yet through those experiences, there have been many times where we have seen the light at the end of the tunnel, where we have gotten such fantastic actual information out of this pain that has transformed our entire perception or view of who we are. And what I call this is that luminous life, as we look at these challenges, as we look at these life experiences that have brought up pain, we are actually looking at our soul's lessons. And we're taking them from our human experience, the realness, the rawness of who we are, because we all are human, and we're bridging it to our soul self. And as we do that, the most magical thing I love to do, and I mentioned in the beginning, is invite the universe, its wisdom, into the podcast and really allow for you in this experience to see what you need to see for yourself. And in that, we can actually help you rediscover your sheer brilliance as you unearth your true power and magically come to uncover truly how you can shine in the here and now. Isn't that exciting? Doesn't that sound like something that you would love to do? Well, I love to prepare and craft really powerful podcasts. And so tonight, I have crafted what I call the power of words. So prior to coming in this evening, I spent time working with Spirit, actually several days, and really it's been several months I've been working on this. As you all know, I'm a life activator, and in that, I actually help people to see how they can actively divine or design their life. And through that active design, I allow for them to see the real true power in the way that they think and feel. And how when we have this knowledge and awareness of how powerful we are, how powerful our words are, how powerful our thoughts are, we can then actively become the master creator and designers of our life. So this is like really, really fantastic information that you're getting on this podcast this evening, and really will, if you are listening, and I know those of you have been guided here for a reason, to allow yourself to see what it is that you may be thinking and saying that is keeping you in the dark in your life, that is keeping you in a challenge, that is keeping you in your pain, and not quite allowing you to see the offering from Spirit in this situation, the lesson at hand from a soulful level, and your ability to really step through this limitation and claim something bigger than you actually feel for yourself right now. That's incredible. And I think it warrants, what it really does is gratitude. In so many ways, I am so grateful to be able to be here and to share this message. And for those of you who have come and are willing to open your heart and your ears to all the messages I am sharing with you this evening. So with so much of my heart, I think first and foremost, before I really begin tonight, I want to say thank you. Thank you for showing up. Thank you for being a listener, for being a supporter, for coming on this journey and really being a part of your evolution, of self-discovery. Because one thing I know, and I know maybe, now I'm not even going to say maybe, one thing I know for fact, knowledge is power. And when you have knowledge, you can expand to the places you never even dreamed of, and you can begin to shift your life in many, many big ways. So as we get into tonight's podcast, as I always do, I want to invite Spirit to join us, to be a part of this discussion this evening, and to allow it to work its way through me, to use me as a channel and a conduit to speak what this audience needs from me this evening, to allow me to freely flow and set the intention of a powerful podcast, one that you're going to want to re-listen to time and time again. So let's take a nice big deep breath together and let it all go. So let's start by asking ourselves this question. Are you aware? Have you put time and attention or observation to your internal dialogue? Have you stopped yourself in the busyness of life? You know, I live in New York City, and let me tell you, 9 o'clock in the morning, 9 o'clock at night, it doesn't matter. The streets are always busy. There are always so many people there. So my internal dialogue can sometimes feel like it's moving as fast as the streets of New York, as 100 miles per minute with 100 million different things, because there's 100 million different people around me. So to draw awareness or attention to my inner dialogue is quite profound, and it's a subtle art. It takes just a little bit of time and attention. So what I want you to do is I want you to just start to draw presence to what you're thinking and saying. Even while we are in this podcast together, while we're journeying so intimately, I want you to just start to notice what starts to flow up and into your mindset. Because have you ever heard this saying, thoughts are things? Just listen to that. Just let that sink in for you. Thoughts are things. Meaning the way that we speak to ourselves actually holds a significant amount of power. What we think, we create. And even the great Buddha said it. What I think, I am. And also in so many different ways biblically in the Bible, many of, if we come to, looking at even Jesus's teachings, he speaks a lot about his power of thought. And that, we're looking at this not just from a religious perspective, but just one very great human being that walked the face of the earth and actually spoke about the power of his words. he did. He said, my words are the words of God, and they are then powerful. And so interestingly, Buddha said, what we think, therefore I am. And so we have these figures in two vast different sectors saying the exact same thing. Well, I also wanted to bring science into this because, I know how people get about religion and spirituality, though I know if you're tuning into my podcast, you are spiritually inclined, and I so love that about you. But also, I know that I have new listeners joining me, and I want to invite you guys into a space where we can gently go into this, and you have the power to hear my message and decide for yourself if you're in alignment with it. So I have come across a really fantastic guy. So I'm going to bring the science of this. What we think is powerful, what we think we create. And so we've now drawn awareness to our thought. We're now in this podcast really noticing our thoughts and what we're thinking and saying as we're listening. And I want to illustrate to you from a science perspective how this has been proven, how this has also been shown to be true. Because sometimes in life, we don't take the esoteric or the metaphysical, perspective, and we don't feel it's valid. So we need proof. So I wanted to bring a little bit of proof here, just to switch up the conversation a little bit. So I came across this guy, and his name is Dr. Bruce Lepton. Okay, and he has been studying genes for nearly half his life. So he's a genetic biologist, or he has, working in the field of science, in the field of genetics and DNA for a long time. And while he's been doing this work, he has come to discover something really unique. And I want to share this with you. He has a YouTube talk that I thought was just incredible, and it's called The Biology of Belief. And here on this talk, it's about an hour, and it's a little sciencey, but let me tell you, it will really blow your mind. And so I'm just going to give you a synopsis. He explores how cells receive and process information. And the implications of his work have been incredible. It has radically changed the understanding of life in showing that genes and DNA, what make us humans, or help express different things about ourselves, like disease and genetic predispositions, we call them, like obesity, diabetes, heart disease, depression. They do not control our biology. So Dr. Lipton says they do not control our biology, but instead, DNA is controlled by signals outside of the cell. Did everyone hear that? DNA is actually, and genetics, controlled outside of the cell. And that includes energetic messages emanating from positive or negative thoughts. So what he's saying is that the DNA and the genetics in our cell respond to energy that it is feeling outside of itself within our body. How incredible is that? And this is Dr. Bruce Lipton. And for decades, people have thought that genetic determinism is simply the idea that our genes are fixed and immutable and outside of our conscious control. And this was the prevailing view, of science for, 50, 60, 70 years since we've been looking at genetics. However, like I'm saying, Dr. Bruce Lipton and his partner, Candace Pratt, and other, really intrepid people in this field have demonstrated that DNA is actually controlled by signals that come from outside the cell. So in other words, the cell's environment matters much more than we've realized. So when we change our cell's environment, when we actually, look at how we're thinking and feeling, because our thoughts create vibration within our body, our feelings create vibration within our body, we can change or transform the cell behavior and therefore then transform the genetic characteristics. That is his fundamental principle. And you can actually see that on YouTube. It is called the biology of belief. And so I wanted to just go a little bit further with that and help illustrate this on a real simple level. Since we are made up of cells, right, we can change ourselves. So for an example, we are born from 2 overweight parents, okay? So many people will automatically go and visit a doctor, and the doctor will say, how much does your mom weigh? How much does your dad weigh? They'll do a calculation. They'll nod their heads and say, well, based on your parents' genetics, you are predisposed to be overweight. So you hear this. You hear this, and you have an experience then in the doctor's office, and you feel uncomfortable. You feel scared. You feel worried. And you feel now defeated. Oh, okay, now this authority is telling me that I am going to be overweight. I have a genetic predisposition. It's already set up so. And my family members start to tell me this too. Don't eat so much. You're going to turn into mom, or you're going to be just like dad. And they say it over and over again. And so now you're feeling even more sure. You are destined to be overweight. There is nothing you can do to change it. Even if you touch a chip, it goes right to your hips. And even if you have, a piece of bread, it goes right to your belly. You just start to believe it, right? And so with that belief, it's a belief. And beliefs are based on perception. Perception is based on experience. You had an experience at the doctor's office. Your family members confirmed it. You now have a belief. You have a belief that you are destined to be overweight. So interestingly, Dr. Lipton sees that then he studies the genes within the cell and they start to overexpress obesity. He's seeing that these people, as a response to their years and years and years of hearing this, that their cells actually start to, begin to express the genetics within them to be overweight. It becomes dominant. Now, some people may say chicken, before the egg before the chicken. I'm just going to let you guys determine that for yourself. I'm offering you as an alternative way to think. He argues when we strongly hold a belief that we are ultimately saying we are at the mercy of our family's genetics, and rather than being powerful, that we have natural intelligence within us to thrive, that we're actually putting us in a position to create illness or dis-ease or unhealth within us. And that by nature of the thoughts that we have and the feelings that we hold within ourselves, we are then creating the experience within ourselves and also experiencing it outside our world. And how fascinating a man of science, of genetic biology, is standing up and sharing this information with the world. So, what did I just offer you? Essentially, another way to look at your thoughts and feelings from that much more biological level, from that deeper, science level. And you know me, you guys are beginning to know me on Luminous Life, but in Nourish the Soul, my other podcast that I did for over a year and a half, I'm also going to bring a spiritual element to this, because this is what the podcast is about. This is who I am. So I bring the science in to actually help you see now the support of the spirituality, right? And I want you to see that from a spiritual perspective, right? Many of you who are coming here tonight to have this openness and willingness to see that there's something greater than ourselves. There's something bigger than our own self that is directing and orchestrating our universe, our existence. And if we come from that notion, if we can come from that space, then we can recognize that because we can feel that, that because we can be open to that, that we can then also explore the notion then part of that, even if it's a small particle of it, lives and resides within ourself. That we can call that something. And in my world, and you can actually take what I say and leave it, but in my world, I call that the soul. And the soul is this incredible energy that has been birthed from this higher power that actually within it has everything you could possibly imagine you want: health, happiness, power, confidence, beauty, strength, just emulating it all. We have it. And we are, if you could imagine, a thread of this incredible tapestry being woven before our eyes every single day in the trees, in the flowers, in other beautiful human beings that we meet. You can feel it. There's an energy. It pulses through us. It lives and breathes inside of us. So I want to share a story. I want to share a story from this spiritual perspective to help you guys sort of support what, Dr. Lipton's saying, what his studies have confirmed, that our thoughts are powerful, our words are things, they create stuff. They shift the way the cell operates, and they actually influence the gene's expression. Well, from a spiritual level, if we are energy from a higher creative source, if we've been birthed from that space, then within us we are an expression of that power. So we ultimately have more power than you absolutely physically recognize. And it is in this time-space experience that we will draw awareness to our words to help us see the power in which we really are. So I have a little story because it's funny. Everyone thinks, I'm a spiritual teacher, and so I must have things all put together for myself. I must have everything figured out, and I must have, all-seeing power and knowledge, right? Well, hey, let me tell you, it takes trepidations and experience to get where I have, and I've never given up, actually. And so I want to share with you what supports that our words are powerful, because what you're hearing from me is within us is an innate intelligence, and from a spiritual perspective, a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful energy threaded from a tapestry of all grandness and wonder, so incredibly beautiful, so incredibly magical. And so a year ago, or just about a year ago, I was in a space within myself where I was actually experiencing some hardships that I was trying to understand and really try to get clear with. And what was happening is I was, experiencing a money relationship that was really confounding me. I was, negative in my bank account. I had been 10 days late on my rent, and I had just lost a major partnership that I was, really banking on that was going to get me through this. And if you were to honestly look at the facts, what I'm just telling you, I'm negative in my bank account. It's now 10 days past the first of the month. I've just lost my partnership. And I were to tell you this human to human, fact to fact, many of you would say, like, are you okay? Like, are you sure you want to continue this business? Is this, the path you want to go? Because this sounds really challenging, and I wonder if this is the right path for you. What are you going to do? So knowing that, I knew that would be the human response and reaction. So knowing that, I said to myself, it's time for me to take responsibility from my life. And I am wanting to understand what I am saying and thinking to myself that is actually bringing the situation to me. So I have already had at this point knowledge, but guess what? I wasn't as knowledgeable as I am today because of this experience. So I came to a space and I had scheduled a session with my own mentor, and I said to him, I want to figure out the root of my money conversation. I am understanding that I'm thinking and saying something that is not putting me in a position to be powerful. So this is unlike what normal people do, right? So in many situations, we would hear that someone would say, well, it's because I lost the partnership, or it's because I'm not getting enough clients, or it's because there's something, I'm not doing right with my clients, or it's the space that I'm in. So we love to blame our outside circumstances. We love to put blame onto those circumstances and say it's their fault, it's not mine. And so in this situation, it got to the point where I literally was like, there really is no other alternative but myself. And I've gotten to those different aspects and different places in my life with different things. So I decided to take a deeper dive. I decided to dive deeper into my money conversation. And because I wanted to investigate what I was actually saying to the universe. So lo and behold, my teacher just beautifully starts to send me back as we're talking into where I learned about money. What was my experience? What was my perception? So interestingly enough, and as many of you have tuned in and listened throughout the year and a half and been with me on this, my first episode in Luminous Life, you recognize or know that my money conversation came from two parents who got got married very young, and were in a middle class, blue collar living environment, and we often had trouble making ends meet. So when you even use the word money at my house, my dad's response was usually, "Do you think there's a printing press in our basement? And do you think that money grows on trees? And, do you see where we live compared to where everyone else lives? We're not up keeping up with the Joneses." And by no means were we living terribly, but there were lawyers and doctors and, prominent people just a mile away from our house. We just were in a different section of the neighborhood or place. So I was starting to see in this conversation with my teacher that, oh my gosh, so out of that experience, I was hearing my dad say that money is in lack. Money is in lack. We don't have enough. It's hard to make. He would say, you got to work hard for your money. You have to really, sacrifice your time for money. So I'm hearing all these things, and the experience then I have is fear, scared, uncertainty, doubt. And we know that the experience then becomes perception. So my words started to be, money is hard to make. Money doesn't come easily. Money is something I have to worry about. Money is something that won't always be there or available for me. I have to really squeeze it when I get it, or I have to celebrate and spend it because it's so exciting to even have it. Do you hear the conversation, the inner speech I'm having with myself? And if we are coming from a space that we live in and amongst a spiritual existence, a space where the Creator, God, infinite, something hugely powerful is omnipresent in our life, then we're recognizing that my speech is communicating with that. And so as it communicated with that, my entire life, I actually attracted, jobs that would pay me just enough. Experiences where I had just enough to get by. and would often then sometimes go negative. I mean, this year ago experience, though it was the last time this ever happened to me, it certainly was not the first. And I also, racked up a lot of credit and spent my money in not wise ways because my inner dialogue, what I was communicating to myself, which also has a thread of the universe, the thread of the creator within me, was creating experiences where I had just enough or not enough. So my dialogue was, money is hard to make. I have to work hard to get it. It is, it doesn't grow on trees. So when I get it, I'm afraid to spend it, or I overcompensate and put it all out all at once. And then I don't have any left. And I thought, why am I in this situation? But the truth of the matter is, guess who was in control of the situation the entire time? Me, the master creator of my life, the expression of the creator, because I hold a piece of it within me, is always in the power position. Yet what's crazy is that our mind, this massive machine, will tell us something that is not serving us. It will actually tell us this so many times because we've experienced it, we felt it, that it becomes a belief. And the belief then becomes the driving force in our reality, in the existence in which we live, which led me then 30 odd some years later and 33 years later to that position where I was running my own business, needed to pay rent, was negative in the account, and lost the partnership. And I realized that I had to shift my paradigm, because in order for me to change or transform the situation, I needed to get to the exact root of what I was thinking and feeling, and literally transform the way my cells, my human self, will consider myself as a cell, right, based on Dr. Lipton and his science, change the way my cells were, allowing my genetics to express, allowing me to thrive. And so when I got to the bottom of this, and let me tell you, okay, I make five figures a month. I'm close to almost making 6 figures in the year, and that's in less than a year from this conversation. I am no longer worried about money. I have no fear. I have trust 100% completely that because I do the work I do, I will be amply or abundantly provided for. No doubts, no question, nothing. And guess what? It shows up everywhere. And in mysterious ways, not even in the physical paper form. It sometimes is in just what people offer me or what they share with me or what they give me. And that's richer than anything in paper form could ever be. And so I share this story with you tonight because our words are powerful. What we say and think about ourselves truly define the experiences in which we have. I want to empower you to make the choice tonight. If there is something that you are struggling with, that if there is a trepidation you are facing eye to eye with, I want you to consider what could be the alternative outcome if you look deeper at what you were feeling, thinking, and believing about the situation. And I want you to head over to my website. It's nourishthesoul.nyc, and I want you to click on the services page. And I actually want you to schedule just a free 30-minute conversation with me and get the ball rolling. I can guarantee you in 30 minutes or less, I can absolutely transform the way you're thinking and shift your paradigm out of what you are currently experiencing into something new. Because that's what a master creator wants, to empower the other master creators in their life. Because you are a master creator. Because in my belief, we are all cut from the same thread. And so you deserve to be happy, healthy, full of abundance. And it is something that you've been hardwired to do. You are meant to thrive. So second thing is, I am statements are very powerful. And I want to give you the opportunity to check out my Instagram. You can check it out at Nourish the Soul NYC. And here I often work with I am statements very powerfully on the Instagram platform and help people in a way to actually use them in their life and to start off their morning or their week in a very powerful way. Because what we say about ourselves, I am powerful, I am healthy, I am abundant, is actually us having a conversation with the universe just as strongly as I am not healthy, I am lazy, I am, annoying, I am angry, I am frustrated. So equally, both hold equal weights to this energy that we hold within ourselves and that is omnipresent in our lives. So with that said, I know I brought a lot of really, really transformative information to all of you this evening. I'm going to sign off by letting you just sit on, how would you like to define yourself? What words would you like to choose today to move out of what you're currently experiencing or having trepidation with? So that's your food for thought this evening. Love and light. This is Elizabeth signing out.